Hello, Talya. Talya. I'm Nelly. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I really enjoyed your movie.
Thank you.
We still have a few minutes.
Okay. So Nelly, are you the
I'm going to moderate. Yeah, I'm going to ask you
moderator?
the question.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Excuse my English. It's I didn't practice long time speaking English.
It's fine. It sounds fine to me. One moment, please. Yes. in 1 minute. Okay, I think we can start. Okay, I ask anybody to mute except for Talya, of course. Okay, good evening. My name is Nelly Leon. I am the economic coordinator at the Embassy of Israel in Athens. I would like to welcome all of you to the screening and to this discussion. This is an initiative of the Embassy on the occasion of International Women's Day. We are very happy to have Talya Lavie, the Israeli film director, as our guest tonight. At the end, we will be able to take a couple of questions from the audience. So allow me to introduce Talya Lavie. She's an Israeli filmmaker whose best-known film is her debut feature titled Zero Motivation. It is the story of 3 young female soldiers posted into a remote military desert base. Through their real and surreal journey inside the labyrinth of bureaucracy and adolescent turbulence, the film provides a mixed tragicomic glimpse into some aspects of Israeli society. Sorry, one moment. Can I please ask everyone to mute their microphones? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So the film premiered at the 2014 Tribeca Film Festival, where it won 2 awards: Best Narrative Feature and the Nora Ephron Prize. It also won Best Director and Best Screenplay at the Ophir Awards in 2014 as well. Hello, Talya. We're very happy to have you with us. I can tell you that I personally enjoyed your film very much.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Okay. What I wanted to start is to ask you, what motivated you to creating this film, Zero Motivation?
Okay, so first, I always liked, when I was a teenager watching films, I always liked to watch, I don't know why, I kind of really liked military movies, Israeli army movies and international American army movies. And naturally, most of them were about men in the battlefield. And then when I went to my own military service, which is obligation in Israel, which is mandatory. So I went to my own mandatory military service. I thought that at the beginning, I thought it would be really funny to make a film with the same genre and with the same elements of those classic army movies, but about the kind of military service that me and my friend had. That we were secretaries in mundane offices, but we did have a lot of drama going on in our lives. I mean, we did not fight over our life. We did not risk our lives, but we were definitely in danger of dying of boredom. So that was my initial idea. That this is where I started from. When I was working on the script and during my work on the film, I realized that it's more than just a funny idea. That it's really a very dramatic issue in Israeli society and in the IDF. That it's a element that the IDF prefer not to mention. the fact that most women in it serve as secretaries of different kinds. So basically that was the beginning of Zero Motivation.
Okay. Do you consider this to be a satire on the military or a feminist statement on the role of women in the Israeli army, or both?
Well, yeah, I would say both. Because first it's definitely a feminist film, but it's maybe very easy. I think once the director is a woman, so there's a film by a woman is already, I think it's a feminist statement to it, and it's a film that puts the female characters in the front of it, even though they are supposed to be less important than the male character in this place, like the IDF. They are the lead roles of the film, and yes, I think that when you make a comedy about the army and all the bureaucracy of the army, it's usually some kind of ironic to it, and it's a satire in a way, and yes, and I guess it's a feminist movie too. So like you said, I would say both.
Okay. And okay, how true to life is your depiction of the role of women in the Israeli army?
Well, I would have to say that it's very true. I mean, I when I made the movie, it was a long while after my own military service. So I thought, and I made the film in like 2013, and the film takes place in 2003. So I thought that maybe I'm making a movie about a world that already disappeared. That it's going to be like kind of a memorial to something that we used to have and no longer exists. This culture of female secretaries in this very sexist area. But then when the movie was released in Israel, only then I realized how much it's realistic, because the response from soldiers nowadays serving in the IDF were, wow, this is about us. So this is when I realized it's even more realistic than I thought, because it was realistic to 2003, but I met very young people saying that they were very identified with the film, and also very old people. That was surprising. And that were like like an 80-year-old woman told me, I was in the army and it was like this. So
yeah. Well, certainly long ago, I suppose it was, but
yeah,
even still now, and the reactions that you had were from women only, or also did you have reactions from men saying that yes, this is true?
no, from men too, from women and men, because it's about also people who does office military service, like people who spend a long time dealing with bureaucracy and sitting in the offices. So a lot of men does that too. Men do that too. So they were identified with it too, and also maybe they saw some of them. For some of them who did not, who were not aware of this kind of military service, I think it was very interesting to see it. So I got many response from women and men equally.
Do women reach the higher levels of the Israel Defense Forces?
Well, we never had a chief of staff, a female chief of staff, but yeah, some women do reach a high rank in the army, but very few. It does not happen a lot. It happens, but not to the really really high rank.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I think that maybe will become more and more. It will become more and more common that women reach those high levels, I believe.
Okay. does your depiction of Israeli women in the army, does it reflect a similar status of women in Israeli civilian society, do you think?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I mean, definitely the thing about the Israeli society is that the fact that we have mandatory military service for women as well as men. It's something that is very rare around the world, and you would think that it shows that some kind of that we have an equal society here, that we're very progressive. But on the other hand, since most women serve as secretaries and serving the men in the army, so it kind of duplicates the same status for women to the civilian life. So it's like one thing and it's opposite. You know what I mean? Like on one hand, it's supposed to be a feminist step, but on the other hand, it does exactly the opposite. So it's hard to say. But yes, I think that, I mean, no place in the world is really equal for women. No place.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
And also, as long as we have and we need to have an International Women's Day, I suppose yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if we were equal, we wouldn't need to have an International Women's Day, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience as a female director in the film industry, which is, like most industries, male dominated?
Mhm.
Your personal experiences as a film director.
Well, you know, when I decided that I want to become a filmmaker, it was something I really wanted to do, something I dreamt about. I didn't even know that it's such a male dominated profession. I didn't even think about it. So it's like my life forced me to make like a, how do you say, a long gender course in university. I didn't even know that it's like this. And I think it's harder for women to, especially, you know, it's very, when you see that women are, you see them less in a position where you have a lot of power and money. So the harder thing for a female director is to raise funds, to raise money for their films. That's the first thing that I can say. It took me longer than a guy in my status, much longer to raise money to make my first feature film. So that's one thing. And also, I think that in every area which is male dominated, the women have to be, you know, better than the men to succeed in it. You cannot be mediocre. You have to be, while as a man, it is possible to be mediocre. I don't know if it's the correct word, and still to succeed. And women, you have to be excellent. And it's not fair. I mean, it's so that's you have to be better than the man in order to be like almost as good as the men for them, and then they still have this International Women's Day and all this.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Okay, but did you had difficulties in finding, let's say, funding or things like that for your films because you were a woman, or?
Well, I did have difficulties raising funds for the film. It did take a few years to raise money to make it. It was a long time, and nobody said that it's because I'm a woman, but you know, it's not the things that people say. It was hard for people also to understand, since Israeli cinema is very much based on on European co-productions with Germany and with France mostly. So when they read the script, it was very difficult for them to understand what kind of movie is it, because it's a dark comedy and it's about women in the army. So they did not really understand the political side of it, because it's not a film about the conflict, and you don't see Palestinians there. You only see it's the political issues of men and women, which reflects on you might say it reflects on other fields of society. But it was difficult to raise funds, also because of the topic, and maybe because of the fact that it has a female how do you say, characters only.
Okay. What about your next project?
So my next project is I just finished making a new film called Honeymoon, and it's a less epic movie. It takes place only in one night in Jerusalem, and it's about newlyweds. The movie starts in a hotel room when a newlyweds, bride and groom, arrive at their hotel suite right after their wedding, and then like many people, they start fighting, and they practically fight all night. So it's their first night as a married couple in Jerusalem.
Doesn't sound very, it sounds very.
No, it's funny too. It's funny too.
Funny.
I'm sorry, I don't speak it very well. I hope the film does better job than I do talking about.
No, it's just sad to hear that on their first night, their honeymoon, they, to argue. But I'm sure that with your tragic comic view, as you had in Zero Motivation, it should be very interesting.
I hope so. I could screen it in Greece too, and even to come over. I really can't wait for this whole pandemic thing to be over, so we can travel again around the world.
Were you able to film despite the COVID restrictions?
Well, we filmed it right before the COVID started, so we filmed it before it happened. But I did shoot another TV series in the past few months, and it was during the COVID, of course, and it was very difficult, I have to say, to do it. It was a real challenge.
So you're not only just a film director, you also work in television.
Yeah, I now directed a TV series, and also before I did Zero Motivation, I did some work in Israeli television, and yeah. But film is my real passion, my biggest passion.
Mm-hmm. But Zero Motivation was your film on feminism, let's say. Are you continuing with this? You're not continuing with this motif?
Well, it wasn't like my intention that it would be a motive. It's just something that happens. And like this, I wanted to tell a story about these women and about this place. And yes, it was. It did have the feminist motive. I hope that the feminist motive will exist in everything that I do in some way or another. Maybe even if it's not so much in the front, maybe even if it's in the background. But like I said before, I think the fact that to have women director means a lot. That's a feminist act to do, to be a film director. So every film, even if it's about men, it would have this feminist motive.
One thing that I was thinking of when I was watching Zero Motivation is supposedly all of these women there had no motivation in order to work work better or even to work at all. But one of your characters, Daffy, I think had motivation though. I don't know if you would agree with me, but being that she wanted so much to go to Tel Aviv and to be transferred to Tel Aviv, she actually did find motivation in order to do the officer's course. Can you comment on that?
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. She does. I mean, each one of the characters has some kind of personal motivation. And also Rama, the officer, she's very motivated for a military career. So she does have a lot of motivation. And also, and I think also Zohar, the main character who seemingly doesn't have any motivation to do anything in the army, she has, she's very motivated to do other things, to play. And when I mean play, I mean deeper than just play computer game, but to play, I mean, in a way it means to remain a kid. And and that's motivation is very active. Her will to stay a kid and not to become one of, not to cooperate with the adults. And so each one of them is highly motivated in a different field, but zero motivation, it's like this kind of environment that you can see in this kind of offices, administration offices.
Each one had their own different kind of motivation, let's say.
Yeah,
personal
definitely.
motivation.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the audience at this time? If anyone, no questions?
Hi. I would like to ask you a question, basically. So nice to meet you, even from my PC screen. I was a bit late because I couldn't find the Zoom link, so I probably missed some things. And maybe my question has been already answered. But is it based on your own personal experience, the movie? From the army?
Okay, so first, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching the film. Is it based on, well, it's the idea, the very first idea is based on my own military service. I was a secretary in the army, but it's not like really based on my own military service. So I was in a different kind of office, and it's not like how do you say it? Let's say that, I mean, the true thing to say would be that my own military service gave me inspiration for this film, but it's not based on it. A lot of the things that in the movie are based on other things in my life, things that happened to me or did not happen, but not in my time as a soldier, but as other times, other period in my life.
And what about the ending? The ending feels a little bit open because we see Zohar in the bus, and then there is this plan of the desert. So always when I watch a movie that has an open ending, I'm always wondering what is going to happen after. What is the next?
It's a great question. I actually thought that about the ending of the film, that this character of Zohar, she wanted to to be released from the army all the time for so long. She wanted this. She was waiting for this moment. But then when this moment arrived, so you see her going on the bus. At the beginning of the film, she had to fight for a seat on the bus, and in the end of the film, she has to choose a seat when all of them are available. And all of a sudden, she realized that it's not so easy to choose. In a way, it's easier to fight over one seat, and it's harder to choose the one that you want. So, in a way, freedom is frightening too. I mean, you really want your freedom for so long, but then when you get your freedom, you're terrified. So that was my idea in the end.
And thank you for your answers. They're really helping me and filling my questions. But I was also wondering about the ghost of Talya.
Yes.
So there was really a ghost, or it was just Zoag's perspective?
Well, I cannot answer this question because it's so. There was something almost spiritual in making this part of the film, and so so I think that Irina was possessed by a ghost, but you don't really know what it means to be possessed by a ghost. I mean, is it really the ghost? Is it really the spirit of Hilar, or is it something from her own past? Maybe she, went through something very hard in her life, and it was, that controlled her at this moment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daphne. We have a question here from Nina. She's asking, is it also a general comment on motivation in society? Do you suggest that people have to be motivated in some way in order to give their best self?
Well, I do think that people have to be motivated in order to give their best self, but I did not, as I said, I referred more to the environment in this kind of military offices that nobody chose to serve in. So, and I meant it also in a, in a funny way too, that they have no motivation, even though some of them do have motivation, like Rama, the officer. But on general, I agree that you must. It's funny that you asked that because when I wrote the script, I wanted to submit it to some, I wanted to submit it to Sundance Institute, and to be in their directors and screenwriters lab. So I worked with a friend of mine on translating the script, and we had 1 week. And in the end of this week, we were awake for like 72 hours. We did not even have time to sleep because we worked so hard. And then in the end, we tried to find a title for the film. And we looked for a title, and then we had this idea, and I said, oh, zero motivation. Oh, we said, okay, great, zero motivation. It really catches the spirit of the script. And then I thought, wow, it's really funny. There's probably nobody that is more motivated than us on earth right now, because we were so motivated translating the script. So, so yes, I do believe that you need to be very motivated in order to make films and to do meaningful things in society.
Okay, thank you, Nina, for the question. We also have another question here from Artemis. First of all, she says, congratulations on the film.
But it's answered already.
What?
It's answered because it's about the script. So
yes, she was asking, is the script your script as well? Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any other questions? Okay. The film is going to still be available on our Facebook page, the embassy's Facebook page, for until 16th of March. So if if any of you or someone still would like to see the movie, they can still do so. Okay, I would like Talya to thank you for taking the time to have this discussion with us. I know
it's my pleasure. It's the closest things. It's the closest thing of going abroad for me, this conversation.
Yes, yeah. Zoom has become so much a part of our lives, I know. I know that I am certainly looking very much forward to seeing your next film because I enjoyed this one so much. We would like to thank you and thank the audience for its participation, and we hope that you all enjoyed the film as much as we did.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.